thank you to all of you for saying yes to this information session. I really hope to have more time with you in April for our day-long retreat at Garrison Institute. And as Monique pointed out, the campus there, if you haven't been, it is absolutely gorgeous. And during the spring, it is particularly magical. So we will benefit from being at the Garrison Institute during that time, and also being in community with one another and delving into some really transformative practice. So it's a pleasure to be here with you, and Arawana and I both hope to spend time with you at Garrison Institute. Today's session is kind of like a preview of what you'll get during the day long with us at Garrison Institute. Today, I'll guide you in a short grounding meditation practice, and I'll lead a movement practice as well. This is to give you an idea of what to expect if you do sign up for our day-long retreat. The aim of the retreat is to introduce an array of different embodied practices so that you can have a toolkit that you use to inspire regular practice for the rest of the year. So we'll be introducing you to a lot of our best techniques, tools, methods that you can kind of take home with you for inspiring practice. They'll be very accessible, very kind of, easy to replicate in your daily life. And Arawana and I both really, really strongly believe in the power of practice and the ability for intentional, mindful, embodied practices to create the changes and shifts that we're seeking in our lives. So we also very much want to instill within you how these practices can ground you in a deeper sense of connection with yourself, with each other, with relationships, with individual people, and also with nature. Part of our programming is going to be doing nature walks and being embodied, being in your body and in relationship with nature. You'll be primed for that kind of deep immersion in nature by doing practices beforehand and after, so that we can integrate these experiences and that they can really land within us. Part of what we'll be using for these practices includes lots of different things that help to reduce stress and help to create calm and soothing within the system, including yoga, including dance-inspired sorts of practices, including social presencing theater, which is Arawana's methodology, and mindfulness meditation. And so you'll also get to do some mindful eating. We'll be eating delicious food. Breakfast and lunch are both provided. And so that'll be another benefit of our time together. We can get a lot accomplished in one day. If you've ever been to a day-long or half-day retreat, you'll probably know that these kinds of experiences can be truly impactful. So we will get a lot in, and we'll also be mindful of our pacing and allow things to land. So this is your opportunity to invest in yourself, to invest in some rest, to invest in embodied practice, so that you can kind of have a reset so that you can emerge into your life feeling more replenished and rejuvenated. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I really hope that you'll join us. I know that Arawana is very much looking forward to it as well. Arawana and I both see living as the creation of kind of a social art. We can't simply think our way out of the challenges that we have on our planet today. And we need to use all of our intelligences, which includes the sensing body intelligence, which is often overlooked. All right, so we're tapping into this very important intelligence that we don't often tap into. Arawana, as you may notice, is not here with us today. She won't be able to join us today. She's currently teaching a program in Europe. However, she has pre-recorded a welcome message for you, and also a practice for us. So she will be present, just kind of not in a synchronous way, in an asynchronous way. She'll be with us. So I would love to play Arawana's welcome message for us now, and then I'll lead us in a short grounding meditation practice. So if we can cue that up, that would be wonderful. Bring Arawana into our space.
So I'm delighted to see you. My name is Arawana Hayashi, and Nichol, Chase, and I will be offering a course for just one day at Garrison Institute in New York on the transformational power of embodied presence. So Garrison is a beautiful place right on the Hudson River with wonderful landscape, and so we have spring nature to support us, and we're really looking forward to being together with friends and sinking into what it is to be in our bodies and how much real wisdom there is in just our feeling an embodied presence. So Nichol and I worked before together, and we have practices that are complementary and practices that you can take into your everyday life. It's not just workshop, but something that you can use to support well-being that comes from a naturally synchronized mind and body, and it comes from paying attention to the fact that our body is between the sky and the earth and is full of wisdom and insight. So it's a little opportunity to uncover that, to share that with others that might be attending, and to really feel that we can feel this kind of spring energy and freshness that comes from really being present and not so caught up in all of our thought world and all of our concept world, but just being able to settle into just being simple and in our bodies. That in itself has enormous transformational power. So we really look forward to seeing you and hope you can join us then. In April, it's the 14th of April, a day-long program and with wonderful meal served by the Garrison Institute. So please come and join us.
I'm just reminded, in even watching the video, how much I love working with Arawana. Our our practices are really so complementary, and she's just so lovely. So with that, before we dive into a little bit kind of more talking, I would love to just ground us in our bodies so that we can be fully present here with one another. So I invite you to find a comfortable position. Could be seated or lying down or even standing. And as you get settled in your body, in your chosen position, I invite you to look around the space that you're in. Just seeing where you're situated with the use of technology, which is wonderful because it allows us to join, means that we're in multiple different spaces at once. So just finding your physical surroundings, feeling grounded, situated in that. And when you feel ready, come back to the space that we create together here to the screen. For this brief grounding meditation practice, I invite you to leave your camera on, or you can turn it off. You may also keep your eyes open and simply soften your gaze, or you can close them completely. And so making those adjustments and getting yourself settled. I invite you to begin to notice the chair or the floor, the surfaces that your body is touching, supporting and holding your weight. You might feel the soles of your feet on the floor, the backs of your thighs on the seat of the chair. Maybe the full backside of your body if you're lying down, resting on the floor. And simply feeling your connection with the surfaces that are supporting your weight. See if you can allow the surfaces to support you even more. Can you relax into and trust what is supporting your weight to hold you? Relaxing and breathing. And from here, I invite you to find one area of your body that feels either pleasant or evokes a sense of vitality or wellness. Is there one area of your body right now that feels somewhat expansive, open? And begin to connect with that one place in your body. Could be as small as the tip of a pinky finger. Could be an entire leg. So finding that one area and opening up to connection with it. So this one place in your body that you've connected with, this will serve as your resource, as a place that you can come back to anytime if part of the practice feels like a little bit too much, maybe too overwhelming. This is kind of the timeout zone that you can return to anytime. And timeout zone might also be the connection of your body with the surfaces that are supporting your weight. I'll invite us now to move through the body, scanning through one part at a time, starting with your feet and surfaces that your feet are in contact with. Maybe it's the soles of your feet touching the floor or just your heels. Feeling your feet, any sensations arising there, warmth or coolness, stillness or activity. Moving up through your legs, through your ankles and your lower legs. Beginning to come into relationship with your lower legs. Perhaps noticing any difference between the right side and left side. any openness or tension. Simply noticing. And I invite you to move up into your upper legs, noticing the fronts of your thighs, backs of your thighs, inner edges of your thighs, outer edges of your thighs. Simply noticing what is arising in your upper legs in this moment, awakening to sensation. And I invite you to move up into your pelvis and hips. Noticing any freedom, openness versus tension. Maybe there's tingling. Maybe a feeling of calm. Simply noticing. Invite you to move up into your torso, including the left side of your torso and the right side of your torso. And both sides of your torso at the same time. This area of your body where so much activity happens. All of your vital organs, your heart and lungs. Noticing all of the vibrant activity. I invite you to draw your attention to your shoulders and upper arms. And down through your forearms, hands and fingers. Maybe even feeling sensations in your palms. Perhaps there's some warmth there. Simply noticing whatever is there in this present moment. Drawing your attention back up through your arms and into your neck. Including where your shoulders meet your neck, all the way up to where your neck meets the base of your skull. And feeling the full circumference of your neck and the full length of your neck. Invite you to draw your attention into the back of your head and the top of your head. Down into your face, your forehead, the space behind your eyes, the space behind your nose and nostrils, your sinuses behind your cheekbones, and your ears, all the way from outer ears down deep to your inner ears. And the space behind your teeth, your mouth, your tongue, your throat. Feeling your face and all the small muscles and organs, eyes, in your face. Now feeling your awareness expand to include your entire body, your body as a vibrant field of sensation. Feeling how this field may even have the sense that it extends beyond your body. What's it like to be present and embodied right now? Simply observing, being with sensation, and tapping into your body sensing intelligence, keeping this awareness present. Invites you as you're ready to slowly make your way back to our Zoom space that we have together. If your eyes have been closed, then you can gradually, slowly begin to open them. Noticing any effects or impact of our meditation practice. And doing any kind of stretching or anything that's needed to come back. Just allowing your body to intuitively tell you what it needs right now and trying to honor that and give it exactly that. Mm. And when you feel ready, coming back to your screen and we'll begin again. Share a little bit more information and then we'll do some more practice, which is very much how we're going to organize our day-long retreat. So we'll give you a little bit of information and then we'll apply it to some experiential practice so that all of what you learn really lands in your body and becomes practical and becomes a practical tool for your use in your daily life. So just a little bit of background on what we'll both be bringing into the space. Arawana Hayashi, she works with the Presencing Institute. She's one of the senior faculty members of the Presencing Institute. She works very closely with the systems scientist Otto Scharmer. And together they have developed this thing called social presencing theater. Some of you may already be familiar with it and do the practices. Social presencing theater is a set of 9 different types of practices that range from individual types of practice to group formations. So it is a systems-based set of practices, methodology that helps us to kind of sense in what wants to emerge from our own self and within group constellations. And if you haven't experienced it, I think that you must. At least that's my own personal opinion. It is brilliant. It is transformative. It is really eye-opening. And I first met Arawana when I was in the fellowship program at Garrison Institute. And once I was introduced to her, to social presencing theater and the practices within it, I was completely blown away. And then I was blown away again when I met her in person and realized how much our thinking about the body and about movement practices and just about, how we show up in the world was perfectly aligned, and how the work that I do and the work that she does just fit together like puzzle pieces. So I am going to bring in a moment a pre-recorded practice that Arawana led for one of the fellowship forums, so that you can get a little bit of a taste of one of the practices within social presencing theater. And this particular practice is more of an individual practice. And it's the kind of like 20-minute dance is what she calls it. And it can be done as a personal daily practice. The whole idea is that you our life is comprised of moving our body through the world, through space. And as we move through the world, it is a combination of two different states, which is a state of creating a shape or relative stillness, which is usually what we do when we're meditating, is that we put our bodies into a shape and we hold that shape for the meditation. And it's also combined with transitions, is combined with movement. So I think the thing that is really fascinating to me, and I've really brought into a lot of the work that I do as a yoga teacher, as someone who just teaches gentle movement, playful movement, is that it's really interesting to kind of switch the way that we approach movement practice sometimes, right? Most of the time, we're telling our bodies, so it's a very top-down process, meaning our brains are telling our bodies what to do. We have an idea of the movement we want to create, and then we send a signal and down through motor neurons into our peripheral body, we tell different body parts what to do. Now, this practice, the aim is to flip that process, to pause long enough, to be quiet enough to listen to the body so that we can respond to the signals that the body is giving us, which can be really subtle. We need to pause to be able to notice this, so that we can approach movement from what our body is telling us that it wants to do. I think that that in itself is pretty revolutionary, right? It's a very different way to approach movement and moving through a practice through space. So I would love for you to experience just a little bit of this, and it'll give you a good taste of what Arawana will bring to the table for our day-long retreat. And so I would love to cue up that practice now.
I'm going to ask you, in a still stay sitting, to make a movement, and it can be anything. This still sitting shape begins to move. So now your attention is on the movement. Just whatever you'd like to do, stretch or bend or whatever, just do a movement. You feel your body moving, shoulders or waist or neck or whatever. And then let that come to a rest so that you're stopping shape. Okay? Once more. Moving. What does this shape want to do? Whatever that body shape wants to do, move there. Start to move. You're taking an interest in what is it that the body would like to do now. And then if you could just pause and in a shape, wherever you are, that's perfect. Once more, begin moving. It can be just part of the body or more feeling of the whole body. Either one is fine. And then if you could just rest in a shape. Good. So I'm going to ask you to continue this for a little bit. Just you can go standing, you can go on the floor, lying on the floor, which is where we normally would start if we were doing more of a workshop situation, but whatever is comfortable for you. You're sitting in your chair if that's all you'd like, but if you want to stand or lie down on the floor or whatever, I'm going to ask you to continue with mindfulness of body practice either moving or still. Okay.
Allowing the next movement impulse to come to a close, to a point of stillness. Taking your time with this. I invite you to, when you're ready, to make your way out of the ending shape that you came into. And again, coming back to us here together. So, like I mentioned, very, very brief kind of taste of what the practice is like. And it's just one example of the types of practices that Arawana leads. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. So as Monique mentioned, just to give you a little bit of an understanding of what I bring to the table, I am a yoga and mindfulness educator. I lead online courses and teacher trainings. I'm senior faculty for multiple different yoga schools, and I specialize especially in teaching anatomy, human anatomy, and how it relates to the body and to movement, functional movement. I also specialize in approaching practice from a trauma sensitive lens and how that shifts the way that we approach practice and how that actually makes all embodied practice more impactful when we see it through that lens and have that in the back of our minds as we approach it. So I'm coming to the table with over 15 years of leading these types of trainings and really diving deep into all of these topics within the yoga tradition, within many Buddhist traditions, and just being a really big fan of practice, seeing the transformation in my own life and in my students' life, and really strongly believing in the power of practice. So I, during my time as a Garrison Institute Fellow, I came in with the inquiry of like the main question that I was trying to answer was, how is wisdom built, right? How do we obtain wisdom? Like, what is wisdom, and how do we cultivate more wisdom in our lives? And my kind of hypothesis, my theory was that a lot of how we can learn or train wisdom is through practice. And contemplative wisdom traditions give us a large kind of array of different types of practices that we can engage in that help us to know ourselves on a deeper level, help us to gain insight, and help us to see ourselves as more than just our skin encased bodies, which is really the essence of how we can approach life with wisdom. And so I began to with this inquiry, develop what I'm now calling the wisdom building method, which brings in multiple different types of modalities of practice that help us to very explicitly and intentionally cultivate wisdom in our own life. And also to be able to cultivate and create the types of practices that will help us as individuals with exactly what we need to open up to the insights that we need in our life, to live more fully, to live with wisdom. And so as an artist, a lot of this brings in some creativity. I'm a coloratura operatic soprano, and had many years of classical training in that. I also studied classical dance. I studied Royal Academy Ballet. So you'll see this kind of idea of movement practice cultivating artistry, and how artistry and engaging with art, with our own art, helps us to open up to possibility, helps us to open up to new insights. I, over studying this and creating these kinds of methods and this framework for practice, I kept on coming back to three main categories of practice that showed up in multiple different traditions. So I grew up in a Christian household. And I also have done many, many years of study of different types of various yogic traditions and Buddhist wisdom traditions. And what I kept on coming across is, okay, well, yeah, we have the mindfulness thing. That's pretty obvious. But we also have movement practices that show up in various forms with a lot of these different contemplative or spiritual traditions. We also have a lot of music that comes in, whether it be in a form of chanting or humming or singing songs together in community or individually. We have the three aspects of mindfulness, movement, and music that show up again and again. Practices themselves with these three main ingredients can be some combination of all three, a combination of two, or just one of them more kind of in the foreground. So what I'll be bringing into our day is all of these three elements woven together to form different types of practices for us. And the idea is that it will open us up for more insight and for bringing more wisdom into our lives that will help to kind of clarify our passion and our purpose and the way that we want to move through the world, the work that we want to do, the kind of relationships we want to have. This is the way that we start to build that through these healthy practices and healthy habits that come from these types of regular practices. So the three elements of music, movement, and mindfulness really truly do, at least in my own experience and in experience with teaching others, they have a propensity to develop a wise body, wise mind, and wise heart. And this is why I am really excited about this day-long retreat and just about the work that I do in the world. I'm very passionate about it. So what I would love to do now is to give you a little taste of what that might look like in a very simple practice. So this will be short, and then we'll open up for some questions because I really want to hear from all of you about the questions that you have, what is arising, and so let's just do this short practice together, and then we'll open up to be together and in a little bit of a Q&A. So from where you are, either seated or standing for this practice, your choice. I'm going to start with a little bit of breathing. This type of breathing will inhale deeply through the nose and then through pursed lips, almost like you're breathing out of a straw. You'll exhale for as long as possible, really extending the exhale. Extending the exhale is something that is proven to calm the nervous system and really ground and soothe the body. So we'll do that 3 times, and then I'll give you the next instruction. So from where you are, making sure that you can lengthen through your spine so you're breathing fully. Inhale deeply through your nose. Through pursed lips, exhale as long as possible. Two more times, inhale deeply. And through pursed lips, exhale. One more time, inhale deeply. And exhale. For a moment, allowing that to subside, allowing that to land in your body. Perhaps noticing any discernible difference. I notice immediate effect. So the next piece of this is called Wu breathing. This comes from somatic experiencing, a kind of somatic therapy. And it's the same sort of exhale, but you'll just put a sound to it. So you'll literally make the sound Wu, The idea is to feel the vibration, not sending it out this way, but more of feeling the vibration as it kind of moves deep into your belly, deep into your body, deep down, like you're making yourself pure vibration. So we'll do that 3 times together. So inhale deeply through your nose and then vu. Vu. Let's do it 2 more times together. Inhale deeply. One more, inhale. And again, letting that land in your body, feeling any discernible difference. And as you continue to let that land in your body, I invite you to sway from side to side. You can make this motion however small or big you would like. The simple act of swaying the body in this way is shown to be very calming. Maybe even allowing your body to feel a bit more fluid as you rock from side to side. Like gentle ocean waves lapping up against the sand. Continue the swaying. Now I invite you to take your arms up and then bring your hands to opposite shoulders, almost like you're giving yourself a little hug. And then begin to tap one hand at a time on your shoulders, back and forth, back and forth. This is what is called bilateral stimulation. The simple act of moving from side to side in this way stimulates both hemispheres of your brain. This is used often in EMDR. It can be used as a nice addition to movement practice. And now, allowing the motion of your hands to come to stillness, allowing your arms to settle back down by your sides, allowing the swaying to gently come to stillness. And then finally, allowing yourself to come back into our space together as you feel ready. No rush, taking your time, all the time you need. And we'll gently transition now into a little bit of Q&A time. So I believe if you have some questions, you can type into the chat. You can type into, there's a Q&A function as well. So Monique and Jessa are going to be monitoring for your questions and are going to bring them into the space. So Monique, Jessa, I'm wondering if there are any questions that have come up thus far. So please do type in your questions. Okay, I see one here. Are there any plans for in-person retreats in California? I do have some options for in-person retreats in California. I do have some on my schedule coming up. I'm not certain about Arawana. I that's a fantastic idea. Maybe Arawana and I should set something up in California too. So yes, you will have ways to get in contact with me. We'll send a follow-up. If you want to join me in California, I'll give you some information about that. Yeah. Yeah, and thanks Monique for posting my website. And thanks for the question, Shamini. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Anyone else? Any questions, concerns, comments? Would also love to know if you want to type in the chat how the practices felt, what you noticed, maybe what even surprised you about practice. Keeping in mind these are just short little tastes of what is possible. Gloria, I think that's maybe a question for Monique. Say any possibility of silent retreats returning. So Monique, if you wanna unmute and speak to that. Monique says we're discussing this now. So it looks like it's coming up. So we'll hang out for a few more minutes to see if there's anything else that's bubbling up to the surface. So Harvey, we do plan to keep on doing this retreat. So I'm not sure, we're not sure when, but Arawana and I, we love leading day-long retreats like this. We love doing programming together. So yeah, keep an eye out. I'm sure that we will definitely be collaborating and offering more and more together. So the answer is yes, and I don't have specifics for you. Yeah, Gloria. So there was a question of why only a 1 day retreat. So yes, we can get a lot done in 1 day, but be nicer to have a more extended program for sure. So I think that the intention is that we'll do a 1 day program this time, but maybe the next time we can extend it. So so we're starting with this and with the hope that the next time could be a little bit longer. Yeah, it's kind of a luxury and a nice thing to have a whole weekend or even a week-long program. So yeah, I feel you there. There's a question from Lisa. Did anyone else experience a vibration occurring at the end of the VU exhale? I will speak from my own experience. I feel that every single time. I feel this kind of buzz that continues inside. And that's part of what the VU exhale breathing exercise is meant to create. Is it kind of awakens sensation within your body. And that kind of vibration, it tends to kind of work directly with the autonomic nervous system to drop you into more parasympathetic nervous system state. So the rest and digest state. Supposed to be really soothing, and part of how it has a soothing effect is that it has that vibration that's happening within. So I would say, yes, great. That's what it's supposed to do. That's working. Hope that helps to clarify. And if anything else is arising, we can be patient here. If anybody else has, hey, you're welcome, Lisa. We're all still here. We still have time. We can simply be in each other's company. And if anything else bubbles up, would love to hear maybe in chat from some of you any insights, or maybe why you like embodied practice in general. Kind of related to what made you say, yes, I want to sign up for this informational session. Like what drew you to this experience? What do you love about embodied practice, and why has it been transformative for you? I would love to hear. Yeah, I think that we spend so much time outside of our bodies. I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. A lot of our culture, regardless of where we live, we're just truly becoming more and more global. And a lot of our thinking, just even across the globe at this point, it prioritizes being up in our heads. It doesn't generally prioritize as much being in our bodies and really honoring the intelligence of our body. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Shamini, for that. And Gloria, I see your comment. That's fantastic. Yeah, there's a need to return to your center. Yeah, this is very much what I think embodied practices help us to do. When we're this little, Arawana actually, she has this wonderful way of talking about it, about what mindfulness is, right? Mindfulness really is an embodied practice because we're practicing coming back to presence. The only way that we can be in presence is by being fully in our bodies. Right, let me say that again. This is a really important point. The only way we can be fully present is being in our bodies. Right? That is a big part of presence. That is a big part of mindfulness. Because, when our minds are wandering, when we're doing other things, when we're distracted, it's taking us away from being here, being right here. It's using our minds, which are very much a part. Our minds are, by the way, a part of our bodies. So thinking of them as separate as our body is also, just not even really accurate. But to see our minds as a part of our bodies and as a way for us to rest our attention in presence on our bodies is really the essence of what mindfulness is. And then noticing when our brain wants to do all this kind of stuff, when we're just like a little head floating around in space and we're not really in our bodies, we can say, oh, there you are, mind. Okay, let's remember that we're a whole body and we can be present and we'll rest the attention back again. This is the power of these embodied practices, that they help us to be present for our lives. They help us to remember that our brain is a part of our body and it's not separate. All right, Stephanie, I see comment. There's a lot of noise in the world that draws us away from our center. Our being causing us to lose focus. Yeah, we lose so much focus, and there's so much, like there's a torrent of information coming at us all of the time. And it can kind of flood us and cause overwhelm and take us away from being present, right? So a big part of what we'll be doing with our practices within this day-long retreat as well is teaching us how to both self-regulate and co-regulate. And what I mean by that is, methods to help to bring us back to center. Methods to help to bring us back into presence. This can be done individually, which is self-regulation. This can be done in community, which is co-regulation. There's a lot of, evidence and study into the power of being in a group of people doing intentional practice. It helps to bring us back. It helps to soothe any overwhelm. It helps us to navigate difficulty with skill. So, this is a lot of what that's going to be doing. Okay. We can learn so much from children who express embodied knowing and being. Yeah, Shmini, that's beautiful. When I work with young children as a teaching artist, I'm also more in my body. It is powerfully energizing to mind, body, and spirit. That's beautiful. Yes. And then Lisa, I'm a highly vibrational being. Needed to do a practice that would quiet me and assist me to get in touch with the energetic me. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Lisa. So I think we are just about at time, and I do want to make sure that we end on time. I would be so, so honored and that to have you in this day-long retreat program. It would be so wonderful to have you there. I'm very much looking forward to it. Garrison Institute is one of my favorite places, and Arawana is one of my favorite collaborators. And she wanted to make sure to tell all of you that she is sad that she couldn't be here for this informational session, and she hopes to see you very soon at Garrison Institute. So with that, I will I will leave it there and hope that I see you again very, very soon. Thanks for practicing with me this evening.